It's the longest-running production-based road racing series in the world. Born in 1966 as the Trans-American Sedan Championship, it was soon called Trans Am. And today it showcases the fierce factory shootouts between Chevrolet's Camaros and Ford's Mustang Cobras on road courses from coast to coast. Those who have followed the series from its creation and true Trans Am historians are quick to point out that the real heyday of Trans Am flourished during the glorious years of Detroit's tidal wave of horsepower. During the mid-60s and early 70s, when no less than 5 Trans Am teams with full factory backing came charging at each other in Camaros, Mustangs, Plymouth Barracudas, and American Motors Javelins. The 1970 season may be the very best example of those rowdy days of racing excess when drivers like Mark Donohue, Peter Revson, Parnelli Jones, Swede Savage, George Foamer, and a glittering assortment of racing legends battled each other for the coveted Trans Am crown. The 1969 Drivers' Championship had been won by Mark Donohue in a Camaro, his second straight crown. In 1970, he'd moved to the American Motors team in a Javelin, prepared by Roger Penske. Parnelli Jones would anchor the Mustang team, along with George Foamer, hoping to win the Trans Am title for Ford for the first time since Jerry Titus won the championship in 1967. Bud Moore, legendary race shop owner and tuner, discussed the 1970 season as it was about to unfold.
Well, I think that this year, with more people enjoying seeing the Trans Am racing on all the road courses, and another thing with all the different manufacturers involved, such as Ford, Chrysler, American Motors, and even Chevrolet and all into the game here when you got 3 or 4 factory teams running against one another. And so you're going to have a lot of good name drivers driving these cars.
One of the great drawing cards of the Trans Am series during its early years was the concept of small, lightweight sedans powered by high RPM, high horsepower V8s, based on the same production engines anyone could order from their local dealer. Chevy's 302 cubic inch Z28 motors powered their Trans Am Camaros. Ford's 302 cube small block sat in their Boss Mustangs. Plymouth Trans Am Barracudas and Dodge Challengers boasted 340 cube engines, while the AMC Javelins ran 304 cube power plants, all generating over 500 horsepower. And as the 1970 season began, with Ford Mustangs winning the first 4 races of the year, it appeared that Ford was well on its way to an almost unchallenged Manufacturers' Cup. But things would be different at Bridgehampton on Long Island, New York, as Mark Donohue would take AMC to their first ever Trans Am victory with his stunning win amidst the pelting rain of a late spring shower. His victory would also make him the first driver in Trans Am competition to win 20 races. No surprise, since 2 years earlier, on his way to the Trans Am crown, he would win 10 of 12 races and 8 straight, a record that still stands today. As the season wore on at Mid-Ohio, San Jovite in Quebec, Laguna Seca, and Road America, the action was intense as Parnelli Jones in the more prepared Mustang and Donohue in the Penske-prepared Javelin hammered away at each other and took the measure of the remaining challengers caught up in this factory free-fire zone. Ultimately, the 1970 Trans Am Championship would be decided by a single point as Parnelli Jones captured the final race of the season at Riverside, California. Ford would also win its 3rd manufacturer's title. The Trans Am series would see radical changes in its format and formulation over the next 2 decades. To many, it was the early period of this venerable road racing category that was its finest. In the ensuing years, Mark Donohue, Peter Revson, and Swede Savage would all lose their lives in racing accidents, ironically in cars other than Trans Am machines. But the tremendous excitement that they brought to the Trans-American Sedan Series truly established this American original as the best that racing can be.